Break out that ice cream cake. It's time to celebrate. 20 years of serving up soft serve in Lebanon for Jeff and Carol Whitaker. In this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast, the Whitakers look back on the last 2 decades of growing up in Ohio and moving the family to Indiana. We learn what first attracted them to Lebanon and what has kept them here ever since. We also ask the burning question, if each one of them had to pick one menu item, just one, which one would it be? Episode 208 of the Love in Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 208 of our Love in Lebanon podcast. Joe LePage here, the City of Lebanon Communications and Community Development Director. Got a couple of guests this time around, and I'm going to guess that you have been to their delicious establishment on Lebanon Street, State Road 39, Dairy Queen. The owners, we've got Jeff and Carol Whitaker here on episode 208 of the podcast. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate you stopping by.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah. And the weather is perfect. This is your go time. Chances are right now when this podcast airs, in the evening especially, folks are lying out on the main street getting blizzards and the dip cones, which are my favorite. And this time of year, can you put kind of an overall stamp on it, Jeff, of how busy and yet how fun that this whole season is for you guys?
It's it's an exciting time for us because we do close in the winter for a couple of months, and when we open in the spring, there's just an energy. People are excited to have the Dairy Queen back open. They come in, and I tell the staff one of the greatest things about our job is our customers come in happy, and all we have to do is keep them that way, and the business takes care of itself. So.
And there's got to be that excitement too, Carol, of just being able to kind of open up the doors again, like a new beginning every spring. And can you kind of put a feeling on what that excitement's like to do that?
A lot of our customers look at us as the sign that spring is here. When the Dairy Queen opens up, they will always say, we know spring is here since the Dairy Queen's opened up. And we just love the chance to see our customers when they come in, see hear about what's happened over the winter, or our staff as well. A lot of things go on both with our customers and our staff, and it's great that they want to share that information with us.
And I had no idea, everybody, before we were hitting record here, just kind of talking with Jeff and Carol about this whole deal. 20 years, like this is year 20 for you guys. We just
yes.
hit that randomly and kind of two decades exactly here on the podcast.
Yes.
Did you ever think 20 years of this? Obviously, you want to hope when you take over a business, but did you think 20 years you guys would be still at this thing?
No, actually, we did. So there are days. Most days, I just love what I do, and I want to continue as long as I can. But you have days it's like, what in the world am I doing? And it's time to move on down the road. But
20 years.
Do you know when we were up here in Lebanon visiting Bill and Nancy Shoup, the previous owners, we loved the community. We loved what was happening. We loved the store. And we shared with them that if they ever decided to sell, we would be very, very much interested in this store. And it was the best decision we've ever made. Lebanon is just a great town. And the wonderful thing about it, I've shared with Jeff and many people in the community, we wish that we have been able to raise our children here because it's the perfect community to have your children grow up in, and we're just thankful that our community supports our Dairy Queen and supports us too.
Yeah, and some of us have supported it quite a bit, and it shows. But if we can kind of talk about, you guys weren't Lebanon born and raised. It was a state to the east of us where yes. You guys both grew up. Talk about growing up in Ohio, and then what ultimately brought you here to our fine city.
We were born in Ohio. I was born in Granville, and Jeff was born in Springfield, and both attended Ohio State.
Or Ohio State.
Ohio State University, yes.
Get in trouble if you don't put the with it, apparently.
And then Jeff had an opportunity with Dairy Queen.
Yes. We actually met when we worked for Wendy's. That's where I broke into the restaurant business and went through their management training program. And I got an opportunity to work for the Dairy Queen Corporation internationally. And we traveled extensively throughout the eastern U.S. and 7 moves in 7 years. When we first got married, we ended up in Indianapolis, and I was a regional manager there. I was just on the road about 100 nights a year, and I got tired.
Oh, just 100?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And I got tired of that. I was missing a lot of family time and what our kids were doing. So I actually had a franchisee call me and say, hey, have you ever thought about owning a Dairy Queen? I'm trying to get out of the business, and I want to put it in somebody's hands that I think can do a good job. And we talked about it, and we got our first start down in Batesville, Indiana. That was the first store that we had, and just loved it. But we lived in Indianapolis at the time, and it was 75 miles each way, and I was driving that every day, 7 days a week, and our kids didn't want to move to Batesville. And we added a second store in Indianapolis, realized that you can't run 2 businesses 75 miles apart and do a very good job at it. So
tough to be 2 places at once.
It's real tough.
Yeah, it's in the car all the time.
Carol had shared that we'd always had our eye on the Lebanon store, and as it turned out, the Shoups, who were the previous owners, called us one day just out of the blue and said, hey, you had expressed an interest in the business. Would you be interested? And it's like, yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
So we met, and almost immediately we were able to strike a deal with them that was, I think, beneficial to both of us. And here we are.
Here in the rest, they say, is history.
Yeah, after we bought the Lebanon store, about in less than a year, we moved from Indianapolis up to Lebanon, and we've been residents here since then. So,
what was it about the store here and the family that ran it and all the circumstances?
I liked I think we both liked the community. That, as I mentioned before, it was just such a positive community, and it was beautiful. I always remember driving past the park, and then you come upon the Dairy Queen, and it just was like this perfect fit. And the Shoups did a wonderful job of running their business. It was good, and we just knew that we would fit in well in the community and fit in with that type of Dairy Queen, because we'd always had a brazier store, so this was a bit of a change for us, but we just felt like it was going to be a good fit for us.
And I'm guessing this location has changed just a little bit in the 20 years. How have you seen just your establishment and this community change over the 2 decades that you guys have been the owners, operators of this Dairy Queen?
It's funny. We because of my experience with Dairy Queen, I saw a number of communities very similar to Lebanon. When we bought the Lebanon store back in 2005, Noblesville and Lebanon were almost the exact same population and kind of very similar in demographics. Noblesville has changed dramatically in the last 20 years, and honestly, we thought that there would be more changes than what we've seen in Lebanon when we bought the store. We had a second location in Indianapolis, and I thought, boy, wouldn't it be great to have 2 locations in one community? Yeah. And we'd always hoped that would be... As in
that growth would kind of encompass Lebanon? Okay,
yeah. The city would grow, and we could grow with it, and, it's going to happen. It may not happen on my watch, but there'll be that opportunity to have a second operation here in town. So.
Yeah, because as all that growth, we moved here about a decade ago. It was when Lebanon is just poised. It's poised for growth, and you've heard that even before we moved to town, and we're still hearing it. And now you mentioned that things are moving in that direction at a breakneck pace within our community. So absolutely, you guys are ready for that, hoping for that, and ready to embrace it.
I think it's great. Oftentimes we do as much shopping as we can locally, because that's what folks do. They shop locally for us too. But oftentimes there's some things we just can't get in Lebanon, and you get those types of opportunities when the city grows and expands a little bit. And we've seen that. There's, different restaurants in town and different businesses now that we can participate with. And so in my mind, it's a good thing. There's more opportunity for us to even live a better life than we do right now. So
I'm ready for that growth. Everybody, we're talking with Jeff and Carol Whitaker here on episode 208 of the Love in Lebanon podcast. The owners of the Lebanon Dairy Queen. Chances are, I'm going to say that 102% of our listenership has probably been to your establishment and done that. If they haven't been there, then chances are they've worked there. So they've either shopped or they've worked there. And you were talking, Jeff, before we hit record, that it's now gone multi-generational, where
Yes.
you had the young guy or gal working there, and then their kiddo is now coming through. What doesn't make you feel old, I guess, at all to have that happen,
Well,
right?
it gives you pause. The first benchmark was when the year 2000 happened, and you get an application and you have a kid a student that's birth date is in 2000. So that was, about 10 years ago when that happened. 14, 15-year-old student coming in with an application, and you look at their birth date and it says 2000. That was a big change for us because we didn't think anybody was old enough to be working. But we've had the opportunity now where some of our people that were employed that stayed on with us when we bought the store have gone on in life, had children, and now their children are coming in and looking to work at the Dairy Queen and get the Dairy Queen experience.
And Carol, how does it make you feel to know that mom or dad, whoever worked at Dairy Queen, is recommending that to their young person to say, hey, this was my great first, second job, whatever it was back in high school. You should do it too, and to see those applications. How good does it make you guys feel?
Oh, it makes us feel really good that we are setting the example and that parents feel comfortable sending their child to come apply and work for us. When we interview them, we talk about school, family, faith. They're all very, very important, and those need to be in place to be able to work at the Dairy Queen. And I think parents appreciate, and for other generations appreciate, the fact that our focus is obviously as an employee, but also as a person, to make sure that their child that their focus is academics and making sure that they're all set to be able to work at the Dairy Queen, because we don't want anything to fall through the cracks and have them not to be able to be a successful young person, because that's the goal.
And what always strikes me when going through the drive-through mainly is just a number of young people that are working together in an adultless environment where there isn't you guys there
Yeah.
kind of making sure big brother, big sister being able to kind of watch over them. They're running the show and doing a great job of it. Is that the kind of the way you're bringing them up as employees, or is that the type of character you're attracting? I mean, is that what you're gravitating towards? What's the secret sauce there in the soft serve?
It's a little bit of both. It is it's the quality of people that have worked and continue to work at the Dairy Queen. But it's surprising. You give a person an opportunity to be a bit of an independent thinker and have a little bit of empowerment and buy into what's happening. We have 3 actual adults, over 21 people that work at our store, and everybody else is high school or first, second year college students, and they just love the environment. They're allowed to, I always say they have a big backyard to play in. We have rules and you got to stay within the boundaries of the rules, but other than that, you can come in, and it's just really neat to see how a young employee comes in at 14 or 15. By the time they're 18, they have matured and they have developed leadership skills and management opportunities for them. They are good at organizing themselves because they have a lot of other activities they're involved with. So they get a little bit of exposure of what life is without all the hard knocks that you get once you get out into the real world.
And real world application, you mentioned before we hit record that there are some college kiddos that are, when they've got time off, they want to come back, and you're kind of using them as leaders or mentors to the younger people, and kind of learning the ropes and learning some of those skills that you guys have helped kind of instill in them.
When the college kids come back, the other staff members, they've known them and they knew that they had moved on to college. They're great role models, and they come in and they've changed. After a year of college, they're a little more polished. They're a little more
a little more life
serious.
in them, maybe. Yeah.
A little more serious about life and their job, and it's just it's such a blessing to have them there, and their leadership helps the whole staff grow just a little bit.
And I have to share, we've had multiple students that have commented to us, or their parents have, how working at the Dairy Queen has caused them to have to become more organized and efficient, and their grades have actually improved because of that organization that they needed and efficiency. And it brings us great joy when we go to the top 20 luncheon and see some of our staff there. And it just makes us feel like, we're doing the right things and encouraging them, and hopefully creating a successful life for them.
Yeah, and having 9 cars deep in the drive-through and a couple people in the restaurant location as well. We'll probably do that for you to give you some time manager, right?
Yeah, that helps. That definitely helps pay the bills.
But a lot of the staff members are heavily involved in outside activities other than their job, and that's been our niche. That's one of the things that attracts us. We like the go-getters because it is a fast-paced environment. You need people that have high energy, and they're often overlooked by other employers because they are so busy. I mean, we literally have some of our staff members that can only work 1 or 2 days a week. But when they're in there, they give us their 100%. And so it's a jigsaw puzzle where we try to match everyone's schedule to get the right number of people in the store. But it benefits us and it benefits them.
I remember a young man that we hired. Grades were what they were. and I had this mom talk with him because I liked him as a person, and I just felt like he would be a good fit at our Dairy Queen. And he ended up we hired him as a sophomore, and he ended up by his senior year. He had A's and got a scholarship opportunity, and it just did us so proud when everything all clicks and they figure things out, and they're a great employee and want to do well, but then also succeed in life.
Yeah, I'm guessing you just love stories like that and want to replicate that and do that and
yes.
Play that song again on repeat. That's
yes.
what they think.
Yes.
That's kind of our grade card when we see them go out and end up being successful, or we get to see them come back to the store and say, hey, thanks for the opportunity that I had. I never realized how it would apply to what I'm doing now, or how it affected me in making decisions on my career path. And so that is very rewarding for us to have that.
Yeah, and it seems like you guys are still just as passionate now with this location and all those things, and pouring into young people, all those things, as you were when you took it over 2 decades ago. Is that a fair statement, and why?
Well, we love kids. We both worked with kids in different ways throughout our lives, and I was a CASA here for 15 years, maybe 14 years. I don't want to, but I just remember seeing kids that just needed a lift up and needed somebody to encourage them. And I think Jeff and I have always been, hopefully, that kind of couple to encourage kids and hopefully make a difference, because sometimes that's all that is needed, is a positive word or an opportunity that maybe somebody wouldn't have received. And hopefully we're making that difference.
Yeah. Feel like work? Do you guys feel like work, a job, anything like that?
No.
No?
He does more of the heavy lifting than I do, but I'm just happy to be a part of it.
It's funny. If you find something you love to do, you never work a day in your life. And I feel I'm living that dream because I don't consider what I do work. I just enjoy what I do, and I'm not going in and I have to be there at a certain time and punch a clock or leave at a certain time. It's just I go there and do what I need to do, and when I feel comfortable that everybody else has got a handle on it, I leave. Yeah. But I keep doing it, and every year when we close, it's like, are we doing it again? And here we are. We're back at it. So
we have great management and great adults that work for us, and all of our kids. I mean, we could not complain about any of our staff. They're just good kids, and that makes life easier.
So you aren't counting down the days or the hours to when you can, retire and go to Florida and just kind of toss the keys to somebody else. You guys seem just as into it now as when you took it over.
Yeah. I may have a couple more gray hairs.
Well, you have hair, so that's good. Some of us aren't as lucky. Carol, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah.
I would trade a little more gray hair for a little more hair. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, as we kind of make the final lap here, and everybody, we're listening to episode 208 of the Love and Lebanon podcast with Jeff and Carol Whitaker of the Lebanon Dairy Queen. If we can go back to menu stuff, gonna kind of put you on the spot a little bit. What was your favorite menu item when you first started, and then how does that correspond to maybe what on the menu now? If you had one item that you could order, hot or cold, what's it have to be for you guys? For me, I'm a mint Oreo Blizzard guy.
Okay.
That is the bee's knees for me. Do you guys have a go-to, or you guys just kind of play all the hits?
When I had another job, and so I wasn't involved at the very beginning at the Batesville store, but when I was in the store regularly in the Indianapolis store, I would have a banana split every single day. It was my lunch. And I felt,
it's your lunch.
Yes, I felt it was justified in the fact there was fruit there, lots of fruit and dairy, and our ice cream is low fat, so I felt like it was a win-win. And then now I'm pretty much a Blizzard kind of girl, but but I did lose weight when I called it the banana split diet, but I was the only one calling it that.
I don't see any infomercials for the banana split diet. We should work together and get some of those out there.
Yeah.
The flavor of Blizzard is it?
Well, I kind of mixed, so I'll get in trouble here. But probably my favorite is cookie dough, and I throw some pecans in there.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Or cheesecake. Yeah, one of those two are a nice little addition.
Yeah, so you can ask for the CW, the Carol Whitaker special.
There you go.
That's what,
It's part of the secret menu.
Yeah.
Exactly. Jeff, what is there one for you?
I've become more simplistic. I love our chili cheese dogs.
Okay.
And they're a treat. I don't eat them as often as I used to, but I certainly enjoy those. And with the ice cream, I'm just a simple vanilla cone. I just love when we set up the machines every morning. When I was trained 40 years ago in Dairy Queen, you were supposed to take a spoon and just sample each one of the spigots.
Make sure it's good. I mean, you don't want
exactly. Yeah. And the sanitation procedures and everything have improved immensely over 40 years, but you just wanted to make sure that the product was correct. So you learn to take a little taste of it. And that taste is just as great as it was 40 years ago. So that vanilla flavor is just what I like.
That's awesome that it still gets you that way. Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, guys, thanks so much for sharing the backstory and the present story and the future. You guys are going to stay at it and stay on the job until, whenever.
Good Lord willing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us here on this episode of the podcast. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for what you do for our community and all the service and the giving back as well, separate from Dairy Queen. We really appreciate what you do for our community.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for asking us today.
Yeah, thanks.
Our pleasure, truly. And thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 208 of the Love and Lebanon podcast. More episodes coming your way soon. Take care.